This is the west side wall in my house, and it's full of drawings that I've done throughout the time that I've lived in this house. I've lived here for 5 years, and around 3 years ago, my roommate moved out and I had this place all to myself. And in a period of creative disarray, I just didn't really feel like doing music and audio, and I decided to start drawing. As I was at the time very inspired by the works of Daniel Johnston, who's always been one of my personal heroes. And he always used drawings to re-inspire his music, so I thought I would try the same. So in this video, I'm going to be showing off all these drawings before I eventually move out of this house, which is in about a week. So after I record this, I'm going to be taking all of these photos down off the wall. I'm doing this in the daytime, so we're gonna have to deal with listening to the train go by every now and then. Hope you don't mind. I'm also recording this in my living room, and this is my current setup in the living room that I'm using to record this video. So I guess let's check out some of this stuff here. I think we're gonna start left to right, because when I started this wall, I started with drawings on the left, and I think some of them got more detailed as it goes by. There's a lot of different kind of stuff here. Stuff that depicts pop culture, stuff that's more abstract. Primarily everything on this wall was done by me. There are a couple of exceptions. Some of the sticky notes that are on the wall were done by friends of mine. Some of these you'll actually remember from past videos of mine. Stuff like the 3 collages that I did for 3 separate ASMR videos. I can hear my neighbors outside, hanging out on their porch. Hope you don't mind. So let's look at some drawings. I guess first and foremost, the first drawing on the wall I did that kickstarted everything, because I was simply just not in the mood to do anything but draw, was actually this one right here. And this drawing is not anything in particular. I'm just drawing things that were abstract, and that's just what came about. And then stuff on this wall gradually came to appear. Some of the stuff on this wall was actually concept art for other things that potentially came to be, stuff that existed even before the wall. And one of those things is this drawing right here. This is the original concept art for my album You Are Who You Know, which came out in 2020. I drew this a while ago and then recreated it using an AI generator based off of this image in particular. I did a video where I just doodled on some sticky notes was drawn by using my coasters. I put the coaster down and then I traced over it. And I did that with the second eye and just made this cartoony face out of it. This knife party, kind of funny, but it's actually a reference to a song by the band Deftones called Knife Party, but spelled differently. Actually, I think it is spelled correctly, which is why there's no A in party. This one took a great deal of detail, but I'm a fan of utilizing the negative spaces to make art, especially in black and white. Took a lot of Sharpie, a lot of black, more sticky notes that were done in past videos. Got Mr. Boss here. There's drawings of a lot of Smiling Friends characters. In fact, these two right here were drawn by my good friend Guillermo, because he likes to tease me when it comes to this character Mip. Because in the show, Mip is gay, but he's also kind of psycho. More abstract. This was another early one I did, meant to replicate some sort of sensory deprivation. A lot of these little girl sticky notes are ones that my girlfriend drew. This depressive realism was just something that I heard, like out in the open. Somebody put the two words together and somehow it just resonated with me. This car, I thought that one was pretty cool. I'm gonna stand on this table here. This tropical one, very simple stuff. Instant death. Eat these chips and you'll immediately die. This is some sort of technological monster. What I imagine a virus, a very serious computer virus would look like. There's Bim. Smiling Friends, I drew that one. Here we got Time in a Bottle. A reference to a Jim Croce song, whom I am a big fan of. And then I got this beast here. It's actually a remodel of an album cover from Hiatus Coyote, the band. It's their first album. Some more abstract stuff. Stuff with no rhyme or reason. I think of this guy as a lava head. Some of these took way longer to do than others. This was another really early one that I did. Like, the first day that I decided to start putting drawings up, I did this one. Because it's supposed to represent the seasons. Summer, spring, winter, and fall. It kind of reminded me of the game Banjo-Kazooie in one of the levels called Click Clock Wood, where you change seasons in the level. And this is a drawing from the show Wednesday. In their dorm room, they have this big glass wall and they decorate it separately. Kind of it's a accurate depiction of two different personalities that can still somehow work together. A lot of these drawings like this were done while I was actually watching the TV show, and that was one of them. oranges, lemons, a reference to SpongeBob. There's a couple of these with these frilled edges that I drew when I was hanging out with my older sister back in Montana. Another just a obscure music-related one. You got the piano keys and the horns and the cello and the bass. This one you've probably seen in other ASMR videos, which is the video I did about my eBay wall, where I made sticky notes categorizing everything that I was selling at the time, which was vastly majority of my video game collection and some other musical instruments to make money. And once I officially sold everything, I just made this little collage and made it into a kind of a poster of sorts. I made almost $10,000 from selling everything that's here. There's some of these sticky notes that are references to songs of mine. Because another time where I had the sticky notes on the wall, which I do often, I had one that was to organize the album structure for my last album, Private Either. And that was one of the songs. And some of the ones that my girlfriend drew, like this one, I put on the wall. Got a little serial killer here. I tried to kind of model him after Ed Kemper, who famously beat his mother to death with a claw hammer. I think I was watching the show Mindhunter when I drew this. Electric neighbors. Two worlds that are somehow connected by telephone lines that couldn't be any different. You got the vulture on one side, and you got the monkey on the other side. Fear yourself. DJ, that's a reference to Daniel Johnston. Daniel Johnston is a personal hero of mine. This was an album that he put out kind of after his mental breakdown. Sweet Stuff Incorporated. That was the running name for a demo that I was making at the time, and I just drew this picture while I was at work one day, waiting for things to get done. This one here seems to be a lot of my friends' favorite. There's a detailed black and white one done in Sharpie. Got the 8-ball. Got the gun. Got the cat clock here. And you got the telephone. Sometimes I forget about the textures of things, that they sound pretty neat. Some more abstract ones. We'll be right back. That's a direct reference to a Toloro song from the album Channel Zero Forgotten Media that I drew around the time that it was coming out. Aphex Fraternal Twins. More sticky notes from smiling friends. This one in particular is a reference to the TV show To Catch a Predator on Dateline NBC. When I started watching this show, I watched it relentlessly. I thought it was the most amusing TV show ever. young children. I didn't really draw Chris's face all that well, made his eyes a little too big. We're live. This is a fun one. I like doing a lot of drawings that consist of just single dots and single lines, and this is one that does a good job of capturing both sides. This is something I drew when my catalytic converter got stolen right outside my house. It was a 2007 Toyota Prius. And that's the catalytic converter in the tree. Or it might as well have been because it was not in my car. I drew a lot of concept art for Private Either. This is one I did at the time. This was the original concept art for the album Channel Zero Forgotten Media back when it was only going to be released as an EP. And the running name was VCR Live Alone. And I wanted to have something like this that looked kind of CGI and very liminal. I drew that at work too. And there's a Jigsaw. Well, it's actually not Jigsaw, it's Billy the Puppet from Jigsaw. His little creation, which is my favorite horror movie franchise. And I have some sort of weird obsession with it. Some more abstract stuff. And then this was the original concept art that I drew for The Last Internet Cafe, which was a beat tape that I released in 2020. This is probably one of the oldest drawings that I have on this wall. That right there is a reference to a song from the album You Are Who You Know. It's called Snow Was an Island Boy. Seems kind of like an oxymoron phrase. Snowman to hang out on an island. Here's a funny one. Damn. I would say damn too. That beaver is actually a direct reference to the beavers from Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong 64. And then that's just a big-titted woman with an ice cream cone. This is a parallel universe version of Channel Zero Forgotten Media that I drew just for fun. Channel 1 Current Media, which has a TV instead of a TV remote. My girlfriend drew that sleepyhead one. Actually, she drew a different one. I think I actually might have drawn that one. This here is a reference to the movie The Sound of Water. I drew this almost immediately after watching the movie. That one scene in particular I thought really resonated with me, where she's mute but she can still communicate to him the concept of music. That's a little tag music and the record player that's right there. It's a good movie. I drew this around the time that my Instagram profile got hacked, and then I lost it forever. Here lies Taylor's hopes and dreams. I had it for 5 years. Oh, robot. Lemonade is gay, says Carl Wheezer and Jimmy Neutron from the TV show The Adventures of Jimmy when she was making a lemonade sign and made all the letters like rainbow. And we made a joke about selling lemonade for gays. This was a list of things that inspired the album Channel Zero Forgotten Media at the time. I made it into a list. Stuff like nostalgia, controversy, hypnagogia, retro aesthetics, phobias, analog horror, solitude, liminality, and uniqueness. Merry Christmas. There's always a bigger fish, they say. First you got the diver, eaten by the shark, which is eaten by the sea monster, the sea dragon, which of course is eaten by an even bigger fish. That one actually took me a while to make, drawing all those teeth there. I love just marine biology, underwater animal creatures. It's always something that's fascinated me. I love watching Blue Planet. I'm gonna stand up on the couch here. This was a concept art for a paint job that I designed for my Telecaster. I was planning on having a good friend of mine do the paint job for me, but around the time I just ran out of money and couldn't afford it, so it never came to be. You've heard of smart water. Now get ready for stupid water. Water that makes you stupid. That's just full of mercury. 4 Imaginary Boys. A reference to the Cure album. 3 Imaginary Boys. But I decided to add it a 4th because in a way the listener very much feels like another imaginary boy. Remember the Dogs. This is a reference back to my freshman year in college. When I first started smoking marijuana, partaking in the ganja, I used to have a lot of just like random visuals, hallucinations if you will, because I was such a lightweight. And this was something that I kept seeing one time, and every time I got high thereafter, I'd go to my friend Guillermo and say, hey, remember the dogs? I guess these dogs are meant to represent us, or I'm the brown dog and Guillermo's the black dog. The Artist. It's another picture my girlfriend drew. And this is one of the collages I made. This is an audio collage dedicated to audio recording technology of all kinds. I made a video about it. Feel free to go check it out. Here's a fun one that I drew. The Morbius Norbit double feature. The limited edition 2-in-1 box set for $5 featuring the 2 of the greatest movies ever made. Morbius, starring Jared Leto, and Norbit, starring Eddie Murphy. This is a reference to a joke me and my friend Guillermo made about his first 2 children he's going to name Morbius and Norbit. And then his 3rd child he's going to call Norbius. So the neighbor's laughing out there. It's another one that I drew when I was hanging with my sister. Very nonchalant. This one's a reference to an old game, an old toy these cubes that had little characters inside that do random things. And hang out, and you can connect them and they can join other people in their cubes. There's a guy using the toilet. There's some guys high-fiving. This one's meditating, fighting, on the computer, probably watching porn. Someone who decided to end it all. This guy's DJing. This guy's just standing there. This guy has smelly armpits. This guy is sleeping, probably drunk. This guy's playing with his dog. And then these two are fucking. I remember drawing this one in particular. I drew this one when I was watching the documentary about the music festival, the Black Music Festival that happened the same summer as Woodstock, that was far more forgotten in time. It was actually a documentary made by Questlove, the drummer for The Roots. And I drew this while I was watching it. It featured artists like Sly Stone and Stevie Wonder, some early guys, and dog going to work from my Post-its video. Here's a funny one. This is the Asperger King. And these people aren't particularly happy to be around this guy. He's got many sayings. Did you know chicken fries aren't actually fries? Why don't girls talk to me? I'm actually a really nice guy. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm serious. It's called a McGangbang, and Ronald comes in every sandwich. I tried to kill myself one time, but I was too scared. If you don't eat my food, you're an ableist. Some of my comedy can be a little dark-humored and bleak, so I apologize in advance for anything that might offend you. This is the song. The song was a prop from a TV show that I wrote a pilot episode for that I came up with that never came to be. It was called Back to Becky's. And the two main characters had a bong that was Z-shaped, and they called it the Zong. This is Taylor's brain, and he says, I'm about to head out, because he's leaving the head, my head in particular. He's going on a little vacation. That or he's just on a business trip, since he's got his hat and suitcase. I blinked and I was here. Don Taylor. I drew this around the time when I was rewatching The Godfather. It's meant to be Marlon Brando, Vito Corleone, holding his cat. Some more abstract, like some marbles or embryos or something like that. This little gem in space here. This one was kind of modeled after a album cover. Actually, it was a single, but a song called Shapes by an electronic artist called Allison. Yeah. Nice jorts, ma'am. He's a smooth operator. I was trying to make him look kind of like an Axe Cop, Ron Swanson type guy. A guy who likes to burn his money. That's how I like like to listen to my music, just a big old speaker. Got handsome Squidward over here. So handsome. Some mystery flavored candy. You got Alan from Smiling Friends. And this more abstract one I drew. It's meant to be like a plant with a water droplet. Beware of computer viruses. Some more abstract ones. Handicapped. He got a gun, even though he's in a wheelchair. The Zelda one. This one actually took me a while to make, and I feel like I didn't quite do it perfect. But those of you know I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan, so how could I not? And this one's just an ape man very happy to get a really nice banana. And then this is his friend, who's not as happy about the banana. This one I think I also drew when I was watching the show Wednesday, because there's a character who draws a lot of paintings, and he drew something that kind of looked like that. Inspired me. I used to have a lot of drawings, a lot of self-portraits in particular, that I really wish I kept. They would have looked really nicely on this wall. All these pills and a gravy boat going right into his mouth. I drew this around the time that I got put on antidepressants, because I was always a big stickler about taking prescription drugs and never wanted to feel dependent on them. And now that I've been using them, I feel like I've definitely built a dependence on them. Feels kind of like a toxic trait. There's creepy Patrick there, ready to pounce on SpongeBob from the underside of the rock. Raymond Red Renington. This is a reference to the show Blacklist. And at the time, it was one of my favorite shows. The first 8 seasons are fantastic. Really good start. I like to think of this as the Hannibal Buress Mr. Krabs. Sad Men, a reference to the show Mad Men. I love this show. I drew this after I finished watching the whole series. I think it was kind of funny, as is the show. The show itself was pretty funny. This is God's Air Filter. Hallelujah. Around the time that I was put on antidepressants, I felt like I started to notice my house was a little more stuffy. Didn't feel like the air was that clean. Like, I felt like I was breathing in gas. And I got an air filter. And even though it didn't really help significantly with the airflow, it actually just makes the perfect amount of white noise. So I keep it in my room, and it just helps me sleep quite nicely. I thoroughly enjoy it. This is another magazine collage that I made. This collage wasn't about anything in particular. It was just images that I thought I could use in a collage and just put them together. I like this one of the lady walking her lobster. Got Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe peeking out the back. And this dancing guy over here. Here's a more abstract one that I did. It just says yawn. Because sometimes when you think about other people yawning, it makes you want to yawn. And around the time when I drew this, I was having breathing problems. only way that I could really achieve getting a nice deep breath was by yawning. So I drew this picture to try and induce yawning and hung it up on my wall. This beauty right here. This is my girlfriend, Fatima. I drew a picture of her just to be silly. That other picture I drew is this one right here of her and her little dog, and she didn't like it very much. So I thought I'd draw a better one that complimented her a little better. So I got this nice sexy one of her on the beach. And in the middle you got Parappa the Rappa and Chop Chop Master Onion. As some of you know, I'm a big Parappa the Rappa fan. I played the original game as a kid, and I still listen to the music to this day. Another abstract one I did. I feel like this one kind of looks like Tim Burton, kind of Beetlejuice vibes. Just the cityscape. I think this was the first one that I drew when I got my really nice art pen set. And I just drew this just for fun and kept it. You got Sponge Gar over here. This is my microphone setup. This is actually the setup that I'm using currently for this video, which is got the Shure SM7B on the right and the AT2050 on the left. As you can see, that's that one right there. And another one is over there on the kitchen counter. Erectile dysfunction. It's the look of a man who is struggling to satisfy, and all the girls that he could have been getting if his little ED Cartoon Network dick was working. I thought that was a funny joke. This is a reference to the YouTube TV show, The Angry Video Game Nerd, which was probably my favorite YouTube channel growing up. I still watch it sometimes to this day. He's got the power glove and he's got the zapper. And then you got Pepsi Man in the back. And then you got Bugs Bunny, a recurring character on the show. And then down here you got Shit Pickle. A pickle with shit. Here's a N64 controller and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, done with markers. That was a fun abstract one that I did. I think I saw someone on Instagram doing something similar to this, and I thought I'd try for myself. This is another one that I drew really early on, one of my first drawings. It's an overload of the senses. So that's a little brain, a brain with legs. And there's touch, sight, smell, taste, and hearing. The five senses overloading. Not a very good drawing, but enough to tell what it is. This one was one of my earlier ones too, and actually one of my favorites. So simple, yet so big. Just seeing what looks like the moon in this vast, huge universe. Around the time when I tried acid, I put up a bunch of positive affirmations on the wall in case I was having a bad trip, which of course I did. And one of them I actually kept and brought it right there. It's only an acid trip. It will end soon. You'll be back to normal. And of course, I never really came back to normal, but I still have that and still remember. Some more abstract ones. It's a fun one. Another music one done in pen. Also, if instead of the W, I did this one around the time when I was watching the Wu-Tang Clan TV show. It's one of my favorite biopic series. This is Private Either, as depicted through the screen of the show Breaking Bad. Pretty neat. Got the X-File. The one single X-File being held by an alien as depicted by the TV show The X-Files. And of course I drew this one while I was watching the show. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite shows. I think it's the greatest sci-fi TV show ever made. Here's the Grim Reaper and Reaper Jr., I guess, hanging on. Here's the third collage video that I did. This one's more music-centric, gear-centric. That was a fun one to do. Binary Rain. Almost fell down there. This was really early album concept art that I made back in 2017. It's pretty old, and maybe I'll bring that to life one day. This minivan space. This is a reference to a song I wrote called Lori's Odyssey off of the album You Are Who You Know. And Lori drove a minivan that looked just like that. And she always wanted to travel the world. And eventually, she finally left Chicago and did a lot of cross-country traveling in that minivan in particular. This is the Fuck Duck. This is a McDonald's extra large, but instead of fries, you get blunts, and you got the lighter, and you got your sweet and sour sauce or honey mustard or whatever. Flipped the M upside down. And then you have everybody's favorite, the drawing of breasts that I did. Just because I felt like it. Never really explored trying to draw nude women before, so I gave it a shot, and they actually didn't come out too bad. Some of these were modeled after actual pornographic actresses, but some of them were freehand drawn. This one here was Mia Khalifa. I don't remember who the other ones were, though. This is an alien spaceship abducting a guy who was eating at KFC, just right out of the parking lot. He's still got his chicken in hand because he's a big fat guy and he'll never let go of food. This is one that I did for another ASMR video where I drew the characters of the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force as the band Weezer on their first album, the Blue Album. Got Master Shake, Meatwad, Frylock, and their neighbor Carl, who's my favorite character. My girlfriend drew that one. This is the Grim Burglar. It's a combination of Grimace and the Hamburglar. I guess it's mostly just Grimace cosplaying as the Hamburglar with this big old tummy sticking out. I drew this around the time when the Grimace Shake was really popular. The Grimace meal from McDonald's, which I also made a video about. Welcome to hell. Got the devil right over there. And a line of people just making their way down into the depths of time that I was making Private Either was actually very inspiring. And I wanted to make something where they were smoking some weed. I was watching some play footage, some speed runs of this game around the time when I was making Private Either, and it actually inspired one of the songs Soon to Be Forgotten, that ended up making it onto the album. Goodbye, GB, the Game Boy, which was one of the most relentlessly produced video game consoles. It lasted from the age of the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64 and into the GameCube. It had one of the longest lifespans of any video game console and spawned some of the greatest games despite being so minimal. Here's a more abstract one that I did recently. This actually might be the most recent one that I did. And I did it by just folding a piece of paper in different ways. And then I just did some cross-doodling on it and then unfolded it and sketched over a little and made it the way it is. Forgive me, I do have this speaker that's kind of in the way. This is Based Boy, a creature that says things that a psychotic based man would say, like, can't forget the boob hole loophole. Because you know, based guys love butt sex. Bill Cosby is innocent. And I don't fight bulls. Pit bulls. I kill pit bulls. That's a reference to a quote that Beetlejuice, the actor, comedian, little black guy Beetlejuice, he said that on Howard Stern one time. I thought it was very funny. Gangster Klep. That's one my girlfriend just drew this weekend, and I just put it up on the wall. Sorry. If you can see under the speaker, this is a drawing I did of a bunch of people just having fun, and one guy kind of getting left behind. This is a dick and balls with a hat and mustache. These two characters are funny female characters that I like from two different sources of media. One of them being Meg from the comic Meg, Mog, and Owl by Simon Hanselman. And that's a pony from the TV show China, Illinois. And they are enjoying some weed together. There's a handful of these pieces of art that reference my marijuana use. Some of these my girlfriend drew. And some of these other ones here are done by other friends of mine that came to visit. Isabel. I think that one was done by Isabel. I think this one was my friend Carly. And this one here was my friend Carly. We know where we're going, and we know where we've been. It reminds me of a Talking Heads quote. She also did this one here. I'm going to kill myself. Love, Carly. Smiley face. Good for her. And then we got Mandy here saying it was the bust of rhymes. It was the worst of rhymes. A reference to A Tale of Two Cities. And I just heard that quote on Twitter one day and thought it was the silliest thing ever. And thought, hey, I'll make the most random character say it. Which in this case was Mandy, from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which is one of my favorite shows. This one here was a potential concept album artwork for another series of songs. I think it'll be called Trespasser. Be kind of a cutout, a silhouetted man in a way. And some more abstract ones. much covers it all. Every drawing took varying amounts of time to make, some more than others, but all of them were done with some sense of feeling the need to create in any way possible. And I plan to keep all of these just in a folder so I can reminisce. Maybe some of these collages will hang on the wall at my new place. But there's going to be a lot of redecorating once I move in. I've been eager to show off this drawing wall for a good while and just never really had the moment never seemed right because I always wanted to wait until it was more full but now the time has come where I'm about to move out and it's time to take it all down, so here it is. The world famous art wall at Taylor Ford's house. A lot of friends have loved coming over and seeing this. I just love collages and things with a lot of content and a lot of variety. It sounds like there's some sirens going on in the back, so I think it's time to finish this video. I hope you enjoyed reminiscing in many of these drawings with me. Thanks for watching.